Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a deep dive into the stories that really matter. Today, we're talking about a hearing that has sparked serious questions about border security spending and the surprising use of Guantanamo Bay for detaining immigrants.
Already done. Do that. Thank you.
Thank you again, Secretary Noem, for being here. I just want to follow up briefly with Chairman Paul's questions about the cost of the wall, the billions of dollars that are going to be put forward. We do have to have accurate numbers so that we could look at that for funding it. But I would hope you also take a look at all of the cost of a wall, because there are a lot of other secondary kinds of defenses you have to put forward. I was at the wall. I've been with security folks. They tell me that a lot of the cartels have designed very sophisticated technologies to get over the wall. They're called ladders and they're called ropes. So a wall doesn't really do the job if there's not a lot of other background technologies there. So you just can't put out a cost for the wall. That's money that's not going to be as effective without everything else. So let's have a discussion about that. For the first time in U.S. history, the federal government, at the direction of President Trump, is moving immigrants apprehended and detained in the United States on civil immigration charges to Naval Station at Guantanamo Bay, which I know you're very familiar with. In March, I traveled to Guantanamo Bay with several colleagues to have a firsthand examination of the detention operations underway. And I certainly have serious concerns about the cost involved there. To date, can you tell us the total cost for detaining individuals at Guantanamo Bay?
You want the cost per individual?
Do you have that?
I do not have that with me today, sir. I can get that for you.
Well, I do have a number. Do you know how much it costs to hold an immigrant in ICE detention facility in the United States? Do you have that number?
Now, are you talking per day? 100 and I believe the last estimate that I got was $142 a day, around in that approximately, per day.
Yeah, but it's close to what I'm understanding. I understand it's $165 per day, so it's in the range. I'm still waiting for detailed financial information from this administration from my time to Guantanamo Bay. In fact, a letter with Ranking Member, or Chairman Paul and the Ranking Member together, we wanted more information on the cost there. When I was there, the 2-month cost estimate for operations was $43 million when we were down there talking to the officials there. And that does not include transportation to and from the island. We find that people are sent to the island and then they're sent back to the United States again before they're sent out. I'm not sure why we have all those costs. We have plenty of ICE facilities to keep them here. Why you have to send them there and back. And on the day that I visited, there were 87 people in custody. And my understanding is that's a pretty normal number. At that time, at least. So my back of the napkin calculation, we're waiting for your numbers, is that it's costing about $100,000 a day to keep someone at Guantanamo Bay. Man, this is like ripe for Doge. Why is Doge not down there? We're spending $100,000 a day to keep someone at Guantanamo, and we fly them down there, we keep them there a while, then we fly them back to the United States. Or we could keep them here for $165 a day. I think that's kind of outrageous. So, I'm concerned by the staggering cost of this, and I would hope, Secretary, you could commit providing this committee a detailed breakdown of the total cost of that operation there. There were just a sea of empty beds. There was all sorts of security folks and nobody in those beds, which is why it's so expensive. So Chairman Paul will probably use this on his Festivus report later, I'm sure, of outrageous government spending, and I'll look forward to seeing that. Secretary Noem, are you familiar with Section 872 of the Homeland Security Act of 2002?
It sounds familiar, sir. You'll have to remind me the topic, yes.
Well, Section 872 requires you, as Secretary, to provide a 60-day notice to Congress of any creation, deletion, consolidation, or alteration of organizations within the department that are not required in statute, which must include an explanation for the rationale behind any charges. It also prohibits you from making any changes to offices in the status. So my question for you is, why have you not provided notice to Congress of the changes you are making at the department? And will you be doing so in the near future? And will you include intended reduction in forces in that? For example, you've already terminated virtually the whole Civil Rights and Civil Liberties Office staff without any communication to Congress about your intent. And the only letter yesterday claiming all of the statutory responsibilities would be met, you sent a letter, but it conflicts certainly with the whistleblower disclosure that I received last week. So please explain to the committee why you are not following this law.
Well, Senator, we are following that law. Those offices that you referenced are still open and functioning and providing their duties as required, but they have been right-sized. Many times the Office of Civil Rights and Civil Liberties, or the Ombudsman Office, which you and I visited about before, had grown quite expansive. They were used as a political tool, suing and attacking each other and censoring individuals and not doing the job for which they were created. So we've right-sized them, put them back on mission, and if there would be an instance to where notification is required, I certainly will follow that.
Time has expired. Senator Moreno.
Thank you again.
During a recent hearing, Representative Kristi Noem addressed what many are calling a growing concern over the costs of the U.S. border wall. While the headline number is in the billions, she reminded everyone that the total cost goes far beyond concrete and steel. Security experts, she pointed out, have highlighted that sophisticated cartels use ladders, ropes, and other tools to bypass barriers. That means building a wall is only part of the solution. Supporting technologies, surveillance, and ongoing enforcement are all part of the equation, and those costs can skyrocket quickly. So the question is, are we really getting value for the massive amounts being spent, or is it a partial solution at best? But it gets even more surprising. For the first time in U.S. history, the federal government, under the Trump administration, moved immigrants apprehended on civil immigration charges to Naval Station Guantanamo Bay. Yes, that Guantanamo Bay. Representative Noem herself visited the facility and raised eyebrows over the staggering costs involved. While we don't yet have the full numbers, back-of-the-envelope estimates suggest that housing a single individual at Guantanamo could cost roughly $100,000 per day. To put that in perspective, keeping someone in a regular ICE facility in the United States averages about $150 per day. That's not a typo. $100,000 versus $150 for the same purpose of detention. And there's more complexity here. Officials explain that detainees are sometimes sent to Guantanamo, returned to the U.S., and then transferred again, adding transportation and logistical costs. On the day Representative Noem visited, there were 87 people in custody, a number she says is fairly typical. Multiply that by $100,000 a day, and suddenly the price tag is astronomical. This hearing raises critical questions of efficiency, cost-effectiveness, and policy priorities. Are we spending billions on a border wall that can be circumvented with ladders and ropes, while simultaneously flying detainees halfway around the world at enormous expense? Could those funds be better spent on technology, community programs, or improving existing ICE facilities? We'll be watching closely as more detailed financial information comes in, because these are not just numbers. They're decisions that affect millions of lives and billions of taxpayer dollars. If you want to stay informed on these hearings, policy debates, and the real costs behind government spending, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss the follow-ups as this story develops.